There are things that happen in life that are so absurd, so perfectly aligned, that we try to chalk them up to chance. But deep down, we know better. Coincidences like that carry the scent of purpose. What if I told you there's a hidden code behind these strange coincidences? An invisible pattern connecting you to something greater, like the universe is leaving you clues, just waiting for you to finally wake up and see them? Carl Jung knew this. He discovered that secret language between the conscious and the unseen, but he was ignored. Too mystical for science, too scientific for spirituality. And that's exactly where the key lies. What Jung understood, and what almost no one talks about, is that when certain events align symbolically in your life, they're not just happening. They're saying something. They're codes, signs, directions. The problem? Most people are too busy to notice. But if you learn how to decode them, you can redirect your life with uncanny clarity. You start attracting what once felt impossible. Everything begins to click into place. And the craziest part, it could start happening today, if you know how to see it. How? What Carl Jung discovered and almost no one understood. Carl Jung believed that life wasn't just made up of predictable causes and effects, like some mathematical equation. He noticed that sometimes certain events aligned so precisely and meaningfully that they seemed to be much more than mere coincidences. He called this synchronicity, the occurrence of two or more events that carry symbolic meaning, but without any apparent causal link. Imagine thinking about someone you haven't seen in years, and suddenly they call you. Coincidence? Jung would say no. He believed these events were hidden codes revealing what's happening at the deepest level of reality. While most people were obsessed with what could be scientifically proven, Jung was drawn to what could be felt, intuited, perceived in the quiet of the soul. He saw the unconscious as a bridge between the inner world and the outer world, a symbolic field connected to the collective, where the codes of human experience are stored. These hidden codes don't show up in traditional science books, but they manifest in strange coincidences that seem to be scripted by a higher intelligence. It's as if the universe is whispering, "Pay attention, this isn't random." And that's where many people miss the point. They go through life thinking everything is random, that life is just a series of meaningless accidents. Jung was dismissed precisely because he challenged this cold, mechanical view of the world. But what if he was right all along? What if those codes that appear in seemingly trivial coincidences are actually part of a language few know how to read? Maybe, just maybe, those pieces are trying to tell us something much greater, especially when our frequency is elevated. The connection between synchronicity and vibrational energy. Have you ever noticed that when you're feeling good, lighter, more in tune with what brings you joy, amazing things start to happen? The right people show up at the right time, unexpected opportunities appear, and everything seems to flow with almost magical precision. That's not luck. That's vibration. Carl Jung may not have used the term the way we do today, but he understood that a mind tuned into certain states resonates with symbolic events in the outer world. In other words, when your energy is vibrating high, you attract more of those strange coincidences, and each one carries one of those hidden codes the universe disguises as chance. Quantum physics is already pointing in this direction, suggesting that everything in the universe is energy in constant motion. Our thoughts, emotions, and intentions emit frequencies that interact with the energetic field around us. When we're out of alignment, feeling sad, angry, disconnected, it's like trying to tune into a radio station with a broken dial. All you get is static. But when you adjust your vibration, it's as if those coincidences become clearer, like signs guiding your next step. Daily meditation, being mindful of what you consume, food, media, conversations, and practicing gratitude. These are simple habits that raise your frequency and activate those codes with far more clarity. Think about it. How many times have you wished for something with a clear, honest heart, and not long after, it happened in an unexpected way? It's like the universe saying, "Here you go, you got the message." What Jung discovered, but few actually apply, is that these hidden codes become more accessible when you live in alignment with your essence. The more authentic you are with yourself, the more the external world begins to respond with precise synchronicities. And within that quiet response lies an invitation to see what the eyes can't, but the soul instantly recognizes. Why did science ignore Carl Jung? At the time Carl Jung spoke about synchronicity, he was essentially shouting poetry in a world obsessed with calculations. The dominant science of the day was Cartesian, grounded in tangible data and provable formulas. So when Jung introduced the idea that strange coincidences could carry hidden codes with deep meaning and without any physical cause, the scientific establishment shrugged him off. To them, it was as if he were mixing psychology with mysticism, which instantly discredited his view, no matter how brilliant it was. But the truth is, Jung had the courage to explore what no one else dared to touch: the invisible. He wasn't just ignored by many, he also faced a rift with Freud, with whom he once shared a strong intellectual alliance. Freud believed everything stemmed from instinct and repressed sexual drives, while Jung wanted to go further, to explore symbols, archetypes, spirituality. And when Jung started talking about the universe having a symbolic intelligence, about codes scattered in seemingly random events, he became even more isolated. The scientific community wanted answers that could be measured in test tubes, not meanings that emerge when you open a book to a random page and find a sentence that answers a deep existential question. And it's curious how time treats misunderstood geniuses. Today, decades later, the spiritual world, personal development circles, and even some branches of neuroscience are brushing up against the same ideas Jung spoke about long ago. Those hidden codes he believed showed up in coincidences are still appearing, but who's really listening? Maybe the problem wasn't that Jung said too much, but that the world wasn't ready to hear it. And that's where this story starts to intertwine with the way you see your own reality, especially when those signs start showing up again and again. Coincidence or spiritual keys, the codes you're not seeing. How many times has something oddly specific happened to you, like hearing the same name 3 times in one day, dreaming about a symbol and then seeing it on a street sign hours later, or randomly running into someone who ends up changing the course of your week? Most people brush these moments off as coincidence. But according to Carl Jung, these events are like hidden codes delivered by the universe. They show up subtly, symbolically, and often at a time of doubt, transition, or deep reflection. It's as if reality is trying to grab your attention, using strange coincidences as markers on your spiritual map. These coincidences aren't meant for everyone to see. They require sensitivity, presence, and an openness to the invisible. One of the first signs that you're starting to notice these codes is when you stop searching for purely logical explanations and begin to listen more to your feelings, your intuition. For example, you're feeling uncertain about a project, you pick up a random book, flip it open, and there it is, the exact message you needed. That's not magic, it's alignment. Another common signal is repeated numbers like 1111 or 2222, patterns that show up as reminders that something greater is moving behind the scenes. The rational mind craves explanation. The soul seeks meaning. And Jung was always a messenger of the soul. He believed that dreams, symbols, visions, and even everyday occurrences carried hidden codes meant to awaken our awareness. The problem is, we're usually in too much of a rush to notice. These codes don't come with flashing neon signs. They come as whispers, as if the universe is saying, "Look again, pay attention." And when you start to do that, things take on a whole new dimension, especially when those signs don't just appear, but lead you to places you never would have considered on your own. Jung's secret legacy: how to use synchronicities to redirect your journey. The truth is, most people live on autopilot, jumping from one task to the next without even realizing that the universe is constantly trying to communicate with them. Carl Jung believed that strange coincidences weren't just curiosities, they were directions. When someone starts paying attention to these hidden codes, unexpected encounters, recurring dreams, phrases that appear out of nowhere, they begin to align their life with a flow far wiser than any mental plan. It's as if each coincidence is a subtle nudge, saying, "Go this way, something's waiting for you." Using synchronicities as a compass takes courage. You have to trust something you can't control, measure, or prove. But when you do, the journey shifts color. It's common to hear stories of people who changed careers after stumbling upon a forgotten book in a cafe, or who met a new love after canceling last-minute plans. None of it was planned, but all of it was encoded. And these codes only reveal themselves to those who are present enough to notice. One helpful practice: keep a synchronicity journal. Write down those unexplainable events and reflect on what they might be trying to tell you. As you start interpreting these symbolic messages, you realize your life holds far more meaning than you ever imagined. Synchronicities become like checkpoints on a greater path, validating your choices and revealing alternate routes when you feel lost. This is where Jung's legacy truly comes alive, not as abstract theory, but as a lived practice. And that leads to one question that becomes impossible to ignore. What if the answers you've been searching for have been trying to find you all along, just waiting for you to decode the hidden messages the universe has been leaving in your path? Now that you understand how hidden codes can manifest through coincidences, here's the question. Are you going to keep calling it chance? Or are you finally ready to start decoding the signs the universe has been placing right in front of you? Because the truth is, these strange coincidences never really stop. You might just not be vibrating at the right frequency to notice what they're trying to say. And what if each small coincidence was actually a portal to a new choice, a new version of yourself, a new life? What would change if you started following that flow? And more importantly, what's trying to find you right now? Could you be ignoring signs that might have changed everything? Maybe now is the time to start writing these events down, reflecting on them, and most of all, trusting what you feel. Because when you learn to read the codes the universe whispers, you begin to live with more clarity, more ease, and more purpose. And here's the thing, you don't have to figure it all out at once. But you do need to take the first step, pay attention, and ask the right questions. Everything shifts when you start listening. If this message resonated with you, drop a comment below and share a meaningful coincidence you've experienced. I'll be reading all of them. And if you want to keep learning how to decode the hidden messages life is sending you, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone who also knows that some things just aren't random.